What happens when two powerhouse vocalists clash on live television over creative control, artistic integrity, and the soul of a classic song? The result is more explosive than anyone expected. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and let me know in the comments. Should legendary songs be modernized or preserved exactly as they were created? Now, let's get into it. The Kelly Clarkson Show was buzzing with its usual warmth and energy that afternoon. Fans filled the studio, thrilled to see Kelly alongside one of her idols, Patti LaBelle, the legendary godmother of soul. Everyone expected an uplifting interview, maybe even a duet between two of the greatest voices in music. Kelly appeared on stage in a bright yellow dress, her smile as wide as ever. "All right, everybody," she beamed. "We have such a treat for you today. Please welcome the incomparable Patti LaBelle." The audience roared as Patti emerged in an emerald gown that shimmered under the lights. Regal, confident, her presence filled the room before she even sat down. "Miss Patti," Kelly gushed, "I've been a fan since I was a little girl in church. Your voice has inspired me my whole life." "Thank you, sweetheart," Patti replied graciously, though her tone carried a quiet reserve. Kelly leaned forward, her excitement bubbling over. "So I was thinking we could do something special today. My producers have put together a new arrangement of Lady Marmalade. Same classic, but with a modern twist. I thought it would be amazing if we performed it together. Kind of like a passing of the torch," the audience murmured in anticipation. But Patti's expression shifted ever so slightly. "A modern twist?" she repeated, her voice smooth but edged with curiosity. "What exactly do you mean, honey?" Kelly gestured eagerly toward her band. "We updated it with contemporary beats, a little auto-tune for that current sound, and simplified some of the more complex vocal runs, just to make it more accessible for today's audience." The temperature in the room seemed to drop. Patti straightened in her chair, her hands gripping the armrests. "Simplified the vocal runs?" she asked, her voice calm but lined with steel. "And auto-tune on Lady Marmalade?" Kelly's smile tightened. "I know it's different, but younger listeners respond to that polished sound. We want to make sure your music reaches as many people as possible." Patti drew a slow, deliberate breath, the kind singers take before belting a high note. When she spoke, her voice carried the weight of decades of artistry. "Kelly, sweetheart, let me explain something about Lady Marmalade. That song wasn't written, it was born. From struggle, from triumph, from raw emotion. Those vocal runs you call complicated? They tell a story. Every bend, every growl, every crack in the voice. It's not just technique, it's life experience." The audience grew quiet, sensing this was no ordinary segment. Kelly shifted in her seat, trying to regain control. "I completely respect that, Miss Patti. But don't you think classics have to evolve? Even you must have performed songs differently as you grew as an artist." "Of course I have," Patti replied, her voice rising with conviction. "But there's a difference between evolution and erosion. When you strip the soul out of a song to make it more accessible, you're not evolving, you're diminishing. You're taking something built with blood, sweat, and tears, and turning it into background music for a commercial." The studio fell silent, the cameras still rolling. This wasn't a lighthearted interview anymore. It was a clash of eras, a battle for the soul of music itself. Kelly's cheeks flushed as she pushed back gently, her composure slipping. "With all due respect, Miss Patti, the industry has changed. What worked in the 70s doesn't always work today. We have to meet people where they are." Patti leaned forward, her eyes blazing with the fire that had earned her the title, Godmother of Soul. "And where exactly are people, Kelly? Have they really fallen so low that they can't appreciate complexity anymore? Are audiences so musically illiterate they need auto-tune spoon-fed to them? Or is it just easier these days to dumb the music down instead of lifting people up?" The question hit the air like a thunderclap, Kelly felt the weight of every camera locked on her, every audience member frozen in suspense. Her warm Oklahoma charm had drained into a flush of red that clashed against her yellow dress. "That's not fair," Kelly said, her voice tighter now, the strain obvious. "I'm not dumbing anything down. I'm making music that connects. My audience trusts me to bring performances that speak in their language, in their time." Patti laughed, a sharp, melodic sound that cut and dazzled all at once. "Their language? Honey, music is a universal language. Emotion doesn't need translation. When I sing, I go straight to the soul, and souls haven't changed since the beginning of time." Kelly fired back, her professional mask slipping. "But presentation matters. You can have all the soul in the world, but if people don't relate to how it's packaged, they'll tune out. That's just reality." "Reality?" Patti repeated, shaking her head slowly. "Listen to yourself. You're talking about music, the thing that heals, that inspires, that saves lives. Like it's just another cog in the entertainment landscape. Like we're theme park attractions, not artists." Kelly's jaw tightened. She'd built her reputation on warmth, relatability, and charm. But Patti wasn't bending to her narrative. "Look, Miss Patti," she said, her voice sharpening. "I respect everything you've accomplished, but I've sold over 25 million albums worldwide. I've won multiple Grammys. I do know how to connect with an audience. And I've been connecting with audiences since before you were born." Patti shot back, without missing a beat. "I've watched every trend, every fad, every so-called revolution come and go. And you know what's constant? Authentic artistry, real voices, real emotion, real people who are starving for something genuine in a world drowning in artificial everything." The crew shifted nervously, sensing this was no longer salvageable as daytime television fluff. What was supposed to be a lighthearted duet was unraveling into a generational battlefield. Kelly suddenly stood, pacing behind her desk, the tension radiating like heat. "You know what I'm sick of?" she snapped. "This idea that everything new is automatically inferior, that I'm some corporate sellout just because I understand the modern world. My music has helped people survive divorces, depression, loss. Don't you dare tell me that's not authentic." "I never said your music wasn't authentic to you," Patti countered, steady and unflinching. "What I'm saying is, when you take my music and run it through focus groups, market research, auto-tune, and all the tricks designed to make it sound like everything else on the radio, you strip away what made it sacred. So, what am I supposed to do?" Kelly demanded, throwing her arms wide. "Sing everything exactly the way it was recorded 50 years ago? Pretend I don't exist in the performance? Just be a karaoke machine for the classics?" Patti's eyes narrowed, her voice low and cutting. "Don't you dare twist my words, young lady. Interpretation is not the same as imitation. Interpretation requires respect, understanding, a conversation with the soul of the song. What you're describing isn't interpretation, it's appropriation. You want the shine of my song without the weight of its story. That's what I won't allow." "That's ridiculous!" Kelly snapped, her voice rising, causing several audience members to shift uneasily in their seats. "Every artist builds on what came before. That's how music grows. That's how it lives." Kelly's voice broke through the silence, quicker, sharper than before. "That's how music evolves. The Beatles built on Chuck Berry. Madonna built on disco. I'm building on voices like yours." Patti's reply was immediate, her tone rising to match Kelly's. "The Beatles understood Chuck Berry before they built on him. Madonna lived and breathed disco before she transformed it. And you? You're talking about taking a song that carried the struggles and triumphs of women, especially women of color, and flattening it into a glossy pop confection." Kelly froze, then turned, her gaze locking with Patti's. Her voice dropped low but carried the weight of accusation. "And there it is. This isn't about vocal runs or autotune, is it? This is about who gets to sing what songs. This is about gatekeeping. The word hit the studio like poison gas. Patti's face shifted, anger cooling into something far more dangerous. A quiet, cold fury carved from decades of battles Kelly had never fought. Gatekeeping, she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper, but ringing louder than a shout. Child, I've spent my life kicking down doors, so artists who look like me, sound like me, could walk through them. I've mentored more young singers than you could count. But I will not stand here and watch you trivialize music born out of pain and survival. Music you don't understand, and clearly don't respect. Kelly's composure cracked fully now, her cheeks flushed, her voice shaking with equal parts rage and hurt. Don't you dare lecture me about struggle. I grew up poor in Texas. I worked 3 jobs to chase my dream. I fought record executives who tried to control me. I've earned my place in this industry. Have you? Patti asked, rising to her full height at last. The movement alone shifted the entire energy of the room. She towered in presence, if not in stature, commanding every eye. Or have you just learned to give them what they want? Because there's a difference between earning a place and being handed one for playing by rules designed to silence authentic voices. The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the cameras seemed to hum quieter. Kelly opened her mouth once, twice, words faltering before they could form. Finally, she managed, voice trembling. That's completely unfair. I have never compromised my integrity for commercial success. Everything I've done is authentic to who I am, as an artist and as a woman. Patti tilted her head, studying Kelly with piercing intensity, her gaze dissecting every crack in her facade. Is it, though? Because right now, you're asking me to compromise mine. You want me to take a song I poured blood and soul into, something rooted in a very specific struggle, and twist it into a version that fits your idea of what today's audience can handle. Kelly's hands curled into fists. I never asked you to compromise anything. I asked you to collaborate, to make something new, together. No, sweetheart, Patti said, softer now, but no less cutting. You asked me to validate your approach by stamping my name on it. There's a difference. A true collaboration would have started with a question. What does Lady Marmalade mean to you, Patti? Instead, you brought me a finished product and expected my blessing. That's not partnership. That's convenience. Kelly's voice was raw now, the edges fraying. This show reaches millions of people. I thought you'd want to share your music with a new generation. And that's the problem, Patti replied, stepping closer, her emerald gown sweeping the stage. You thought, you assumed, you decided what I would want without ever asking me. Just like the executives I've been fighting my whole career. You tried to make decisions about my art without me in the room. Kelly's defense was reflexive, but her voice wavered. That's not true. My team, your team reached out to my management. Patti cut in, her voice sharp. No one asked me. No one asked the woman who lived that song whether she was comfortable hearing it drenched in auto-tune. You wanted the blessing of Patti LaBelle, but not the voice of Patti LaBelle. Kelly moved around her desk, desperate now, closing the distance as if proximity could bridge the chasm. But don't you see? This is how the industry works now. Artists collaborate through producers, through management. It's professional. Professional, Patti echoed, her voice carrying a mournful weight. When did professional come to mean stripping the artist out of the art? When did we decide the business of music mattered more than the music itself? Because the business side matters, Kelly insisted, her voice cracking under the weight of her own frustration. You can create the most beautiful, authentic, soulful music in the world. But if nobody hears it, what's the point? At least my way. Your song reaches people who might never have discovered it otherwise. Patti shook her head slowly. The anger that had once fueled her tone had cooled into something sharper, heavier. Disappointment. And what version of my song would they be discovering? Kelly, A sanitized, auto-tuned, simplified version that bears my name but not my heart? Is that really a gift? Or is it just a shortcut that spares people from engaging with the truth? The real thing is 50 years old. Kelly snapped back. People change. Music changes. The world changes. You can't expect everything to stay frozen in time just because that's how you prefer it. I don't want anything frozen in time, Patti replied, her voice rising again, thunder rumbling beneath every syllable. I want growth. I want evolution. I want music to soar. But what you're describing isn't evolution. It's dilution. You're taking something that demanded to be felt and turning it into something that can be ignored. Kelly threw her hands up, exasperated. So what's the solution then? Should contemporary artists never touch classic songs? Should we all just stay in our lanes? Should music be segregated by decades? The solution, Patti said, stepping toward the edge of the stage, is respect. Respect for what came before. Respect for the stories etched into every note. Some songs are classics not because they're untouchable, but because they've already told their truth. Your job is to bring your own truth without erasing theirs. But I was bringing my truth, Kelly protested, trailing after her. My truth is that I want to share great music with great audiences, and sometimes that means making it accessible. Patti turned, her expression caught between sadness and resolve. No, darling, your truth seems to be that you don't trust your audience enough to meet greatness on its own terms. That isn't respect. That's condescension. The words struck Kelly like a physical blow. Her face drained, then flushed, caught between fury and shame. You don't know me, she said quietly, dangerously. You don't know my audience. You don't know what I've built here. I know what I've seen today, Patti replied, bending down to lift her purse from beside the chair. I've seen someone who thinks half a century of lived experience should bow to market research. I've seen someone who mistakes branding for artistry. And most painfully, I've seen someone who doesn't yet understand that real collaboration is built on reverence, not convenience. Kelly's mouth fell open. You're leaving. I'm leaving, Patti confirmed, slinging her purse over her shoulder with regal finality, because I will not participate in diminishing the very music I poured my life into, and because what you call collaboration is, in truth, appropriation with a smile and a contract. Miss Patti, please, Kelly called after her, her voice cracking as panic set in. We can work this out. We can find a compromise. Patti paused at the edge of the stage, turning back one final time. Sweetheart, some things should never be compromised. Some things are worth more than ratings, more than viral clips, more than applause. Some things are sacred. Until you understand that, you're not ready to share a stage with me, or with anyone who takes their art seriously. And with that, Patti LaBelle walked off the Kelly Clarkson Show, leaving behind a stunned host, a bewildered audience, and a television moment that would echo for years. The cameras lingered on Kelly, standing alone in the silence Patti had left behind, the weight of her words hanging over the studio like a heavy curtain. So, there you have it, one of the most intense confrontations in recent television history. What do you think? Was Patti right to stand her ground on artistic integrity? Or was Kelly just trying to share great music with a new generation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe for more incredible stories from the world of entertainment that you won't believe actually happened.